What a mess. Well, welcome back. Second video in the series of playing catch up, I guess. We're going to talk about the engine and the transmission. Transmission's original to the car, 1970s custom original. The engine, however, I decided to replace. And like I said in my previous video, it was not an easy task. I couldn't find a complete running 350 motor anywhere locally. I found a loaded block 20 minutes from town, 20 over. The guy said it was a running engine, and he took the performance parts off the top end. So at least I got a block. I wasn't too sure about using my heads that were on the car, considering the car had zero compression. I didn't know what it was, valves, piston rings, who knows. I really didn't want to do a full rebuild. I just wanted to get it back together and get it running. So, found a block. My uncle had a friend who had blown the bottom end out of his 350, out of his Camaro, I guess. And so he had the whole engine sitting there. So I picked that up for the top end. So all in all, I probably spent like $600 for a full engine. The only problem was I didn't have a good carburetor. All I had was the one that was original to the car, and it was not in good shape. I basically was able to get the car started, and that was about it. Really desperately needed to either A, get that one rebuilt, which it seemed to be not correct. I don't know if the guy that I bought the car from switched it. You know, maybe there was a nice carburetor on this at one point, and he took it out and put the old Rochester back on it. But yeah, it didn't run with the shit. So yeah, I've got a couple of videos of me, you know, starting the car, getting it running, getting it moving barely, and a bunch of pictures of me tearing the old one out and building up this new one. Looks a little crappy right now just because it's so damn dirty. All the cutting and grinding that I did on the car, it really kind of took its toll on the finish, you know. This was painted nice, and it looks like shit now. So I can only imagine what it's going to look like once I start driving it, because I will drive this car. It's not going to just sit in the garage. So, yeah, you know, we'll roll some clips, I guess. So here's the original block. Looks like it had a carburetor adapter on it for probably some type of aftermarket carburetor. So I imagine it was removed because, quite honestly, that carburetor was junk. So my daughter Mackenzie here helped me tear it down. She enjoys working on it. So once I get done welding, she can come back out and help me, and I'm going to be having her do the pinstriping on it. But I got the engine unseized, got it to this point, had it roll over a few times, did a compression test, and quite honestly, the numbers were just negligible. You know, the block was junk, I know that much, so I just went ahead and replaced it all. So the teardown began, and I had one lousy bolt on the exhaust manifold not want to come out, and it snapped off. So I ended up having to cut it out, of course. And finally I got that motor out. Easy peasy. So I bought the new block, brought it home. Engine hoist was in use, so you know what? What the hell? I missed deadlifting that day. So I got the block up on the stand, got the cam in, starting to put it together, my transmission, how it came out, how it went in. So quite honestly, I'm pretty upset that it's pretty messed up now, pretty dirty and scratched up. You know, me putting that engine together, and you know, it looked like a nice clean motor. Now if you'll notice, I haven't painted that intake yet. I didn't want to clean the crevices, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with an aftermarket intake at this point. I got some shoebox central engine mounts, and those work really nice. So here we are, first start up. Pretty excited. Didn't know what gear I was in, so got her up on the pumpkin there, and well, definitely was in gear and getting rid of the squirrel nests. That's the best I could do to evacuate them. A little shock in the end, you know, that'll wake you up in the morning, stop your heart maybe. So pretty happy overall. I got my rad back from the rad shop. The original rad bracket was garbage, so I ended up just using some brackets that I found from Home Depot to use them, and you know, finally got a carburetor for it. I was like, you know what, I'm taking this bad boy for a drive. This was the first time I actually got it to go down the street, which was really cool for me, and gave my neighbors a bit of a shock. As you can see, that windshield surround is garbage. You can see right through it. There is supposed to be a brace at the top there, and it's gone. So that's what we're working on right now. But this was probably the best day of my life, taking this for a rip down the street. Now granted, it wasn't tuned up yet. It was still pretty much running rough. You know, it was just enough to get it down the road, and but that was enough for me, of course. You can't see my neighbor on the corner there, kind of looking at me. Oh, there he is. He's like, kind of, what the hell? But yeah, they're gonna see a hell of a lot more of that in the spring. But it was a successful first drive. You know, was able to get on the gas a little bit, and you know, it wasn't breaking the tires free or anything at this point, but it was running, which I was happy about. And for me, that was the best part. It was the best feeling. You know, I said in the last video that I had owned 2 of these cars previous. Neither were running. Neither were complete. So, you know, as rough as this car was, it was 95% complete, which was a positive for me, because it's desperately what I needed, was something that I could, you know, take apart and put back together. So, yeah, and I don't think my face could, you know, the smile on my face could get any wider, I guess, driving it down the road. All right, well, thanks for stopping in, checking out the video again. I'm really hoping that you know, you guys get some great entertainment value out of this, because I'm not here to teach you anything. You're just watching me, you know, kind of fumble around. I tell you, there was times when I was working on this car, my wife, she would say, you know what, every time you do something to the car and you stop yourself and you get all upset, and you know, you get into this mood, and then, you know, you sit there and you stare at the car, and next thing you know, an hour later, you're back into it and you're getting the job done. And that's been a lot of building this car, is getting through my limitations and figuring out a solution. So, you know, the engine was no different. Like I said, the engine was seized. I got it unstuck. That took some time, and then, you know, I thought it was going to be okay. I thought maybe maybe the engine might be all right. I might be able to, you know, live with it. You know, hopefully it didn't smoke, but the no compression just killed that thought. And so, you know, that was one of those, damn it, you know, here we go. More cost. So when I first got this car, it wasn't a week later that I started work rotation out in New Brunswick. So I go out there 10 days on, 4 days off, and when I would come home, you know, I'd have to take 2 flights to get there, 2 flights to come home. I think it was 40 flights I took last summer in total during all the rotations. That was, for a guy that doesn't like to fly, that was a tough deal. Talk about anxiety. Whew. You know, there was a time where, you know, the plane just dove and I thought we were done. And of course it was bad weather and we were right in the storm clouds for whatever reason, who knows. But that's another story. Anyways, so the time I spent out there and the time I came home, I was out in the garage. I mean, 16, 18 hours in the garage, wake up in the morning, walk out, and my wife had no expectation of me to be in the house whatsoever. So I literally did not sit on my spot on the couch all summer. Like, my ass groove was gone. I never even barely saw the inside of my house. You know, it was either out in the garage, you know, jumping in the pool, getting cooled off. That was it. So, and then, you know, I'd take my rest by going to work. So yeah, so I'm glad you watched the video. You know, the smile on my face from driving the car, it's just, I can't wait till it's roadworthy.